Hello people! So as far as nerdy things go, I've always liked, generally popular things. Final Fantasy, Metal Gear Solid, two of my favorite game franchises, as you can see behind me. But nothing exactly obscure about those, maybe a little bit left of what's normally super popular, but nothing too crazy. And then I have things like this series, the Dot Hack franchise. There's just always been something about it that really drew me in, unlike really any other series. Now, it's not my favorite series, they aren't my favorite video games, it's not my favorite anime or manga or anything like that, but it really holds a special place in my heart, and I want to discuss that a little bit today, so let's get into it. Now, for those who don't know, Dot Hack is a multimedia franchise that started in the early 2000s. It was this big, ambitious project, kind of unlike anything we've really seen before. There was a series of video games, there's 4 of them, and these are all, sadly, super rare now. There were 4 games, they all continued into one another. And you put them together nicely in my former picture on the side. And then there was actually a second series later on, Dot Hack GU. So this multimedia franchise thrusts the viewer, or the reader, or the player into the world known as the world. That's what the name of their MMO is. Simple enough, I guess. As a quick primer, I'll introduce you to the plot of the first game as written on the back of the box. Who is Aura? What is the Book of Twilight? Why did your friend Orca fall into a mysterious coma? As the outlaw player, Kite, you are on a mission of truth. Take a journey into a virtual world where anything is possible, and nothing is as it appears. Fight your way through contaminated levels of cyberspace as you take on and eliminate enemies, and unlock codes that will allow you to gate travel to even more environments, all in a desperate attempt to discover who or what is behind the world. Plot aside, it just essentially allows the player to pretend that they are playing an MMO, and that really interesting things are happening within that MMO. I know it seems strange to think, okay, first of all, I'm not even playing with other real people, and none of this is actually happening. It's like 2 layers removed from the plot, because normally you're playing a video game, and the events are happening within that game, but this is a game within a game, so it takes an extra step. But it's that extra step that actually, I think, made me fall so in love with Dot Hack. It actually did make me feel like I was just the player inside the MMO. Playing as Kite, the character, it made that disappear. Now, normally when I'm playing Final Fantasy, for example, when I'm playing as Cloud, as much as I might be able to invest myself in the story, Cloud is still Cloud and I am still me. But because the character within the game was already seeing what I'm seeing on screen as their own avatar, I was able to relate and put myself into that in a much deeper way that really invested me in the games. Gameplay aside, I'm not here to do a review of the games. It's cool, but not why I loved it. What I did love about Dot Hack was how it made me feel like I was interacting in a real MMO. Now, I know what you're thinking, Chris, why wouldn't you just play an MMO like a normal nerd? What are you doing? Pretending to play an MMO. Well, first of all, it was 2003. I didn't have a computer. I was 13. My parents probably wouldn't let me play an MMO anyway. So back off. But really, it came down to the fact that it made me feel like real important things were happening while I was playing the game. When I'm playing Final Fantasy, things were happening to Cloud, things are happening to Squall, things are not happening to me. When I logged into the world via Dot Hack, things were happening to the main character that felt like they were happening to me. It felt like me really sitting down at my computer and getting an email. That was an essential part of the game, was logging out to your desktop and checking your emails from other players and getting system updates and reading all these little things that helped build character and give information. And then you would check the boards, just like you might in real life. You go on the World of Warcraft forums. I was essentially doing that in the world, and it would update the plot. I would learn keywords to find new hidden areas. And it made me feel like playing an MMO would be this rewarding. It would really feel like I was involved in another world where the stakes were high and things mattered. And that's exactly how Dot Hack made me feel. So when I would go into Makanu, the name of the first root town, the hub world featured in the games. Now every time I hear the music of this first world, I'm immediately taken back to the sunset and PS2 graphics and the shitty river lapping beneath the bridge that you would run across, and the sound of your footsteps, and all these sounds that come back to me every time I hear that music, or every time I look at a screenshot of Makanu. I'm taken back to the first time that I ever stepped into that world. And as a kid who was a nerd, who loved playing video games, I wanted to play games with the people online. I'd seen EverQuest. It was a world that I wanted to experience. It was a style of play that I wanted to experience. And while Dot Hack wasn't the real deal, it blended what I wanted with what I already loved, being JRPGs, in a really, really nice way. Now, a few years after this, I did end up playing World of Warcraft, and I played it for years, and I had a lot of great experiences with my friends, and I made friends in the game. But there was still something really special about Dot Hack, and that fake quote-unquote fake experience I had had with it. Oh, it's not one of those things where you play The Last of Us as Joel and you love Ellie like she's your own daughter or she's your own kid's sister. She's someone you really want to protect. I never got that from the characters in .hack, but it still made me feel like I was logging in to chat with my friends and to go on my adventures, and that any cool thing that happened, anytime a special boss would show up or a new character would come up and a cutscene would happen, I felt like it was a real event happening to me in a real MMO. Tossing around the word real here pretty lightly, but you get the idea. .hack set a pretty high standard for the events that might occur during an MMO. It made it feel like anything could happen while playing a video game. Even though it was all scripted, it didn't feel scripted. It felt fun, at least to a 12, 13-year-old boy. When people think back on their favorite games, it's usually pretty easy to choose which ones are which. My two favorite games are Final Fantasy VIII and Metal Gear Solid 3. Final Fantasy VIII, people don't think it's the best Final Fantasy, but it was my first one and it was my first JRPG, and so it meant a lot to me. Metal Gear Solid 3 changed the way I thought about story in video games, and really brought me into the Metal Gear franchise. So I can explain them just like that. But .hack, why the hell do I love .hack? Why do I love these mid-level random JRPGs so much? Why did I invest so much into the world of .hack? There's the animes, several of them, .hack Sign, .hack Roots. There's still even new OVAs being made. There's manga. Like, I was just reading this recently. Hell, there were even light novels. But despite all this, it was really just this random thing that I fell in love with. And I'm still trying to figure out why. I replayed them this year and loved them just as much. But it didn't come down to good gameplay. I got frustrated with that sometimes. It didn't come down to story. It's nothing spectacular, although it does have the same writer as Ghost in the Shell, so that's something. What really impressed me about .hack was just the way that it made me feel like I was immersed in that world. Really unlike any other. Not World of Warcraft, not newer games like The Witcher, not games like I mentioned before, The Last of Us, where you care about the story so much that you just have to stay up late and keep playing and get to the end. .hack wasn't really like that. It was just a world that I wanted to explore. It's a world where I was always excited for the next event because it felt like it was happening to me and not to the character. And while the games are still my favorite form of .hack, they're also the hardest to get a hold of. I don't know how they're available. I have them all on PS2. These things will set you back a little bit if you're trying to get them all. And maybe one day I'll make a Let's Play of them or something like that if I ever have the equipment to do such things. But there was something special about .hack. There was a reason that it was so ambitious. There was a reason there was manga, anime, light novels, and 7 video games. And that's not even counting the Japan exclusive games. This is just what we got over here. It was ambitious and it was special, and it was a place in time where the internet was still new in a way and exciting, and nobody knew what could happen. Nobody knew if there could be a rogue AI living inside of an MMO. There was just something special about this franchise, and I hope in the future I can really dig into why I feel this way and not just ramble. But they are spectacular. They are something special. I don't know how they hold up now to others, but .hack will always be very unique. It will always be very special to me, and I'll probably never really be able to figure out why I love it so much. But there it is. Now, if you like this video, you can like and subscribe and do all that stuff. I talk about .hack a little bit more on the Chomp Chain podcast, but mostly we just talk about other video games and not the weird JRPGs that I liked when I was 12. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you are a fan of .hack, please, let's talk, because there aren't enough of us out there. Well, alright then. See you in the next one.